John knows I always cut him off. You motherfuckers see it. We brought in a second Jonathan. All right. One wasn't enough. All right. So we had to bring in a second one. He is our senior producer, supervising producer, the man that is going to explain to us laymen's, us noobs, how to understand the stock market in the simplest way possible. And also our boy, my brother from another mother, Jonathan Lavallejo, is recovering from COVID, man. So thank you for coming back to the show, my brother. I'm glad you're healthy. You know what I mean? I give you a lot of shit, but I'm glad you're good, man. Salud, mi hermano. Salud.
Cheers. Salud. Somebody was supposed to be drinking tequila over here.
Yeah, for real. What happened to that? Tequila Thursday, bro.
What the hell happened to that?
No, unlike Ben, I actually do have to wake up at 3 a.m. So
do I.
You know,
so do I.
Why? So you could like not shower and then go play WoW for another 4 hours before you go to work?
Fuck,
no,
hey, y'all remember
literally go to work.
Y'all remember Farmville?
Elder Scrolls.
Oh my god, I haven't played the Elder Scrolls in years. At least the 5th one.
Oh my god.
Oh wow, yeah. I think after I played Skyrim and 100%ed it twice, once on PlayStation and once on PC, I was like, I just can't be in this world anymore. Like,
you're just on another plane.
Like if I start Skyrim, I play through the whole game in my mind before you even get to the first dragon. It's like that's how many times I've done it. It's like this is repetitively boring now.
Hey, by the way, for those of you that don't know, this is apparently a great accomplishment, and he 100%ed it twice.
No, it isn't.
All right? He's talking like it's some fucking marvelous thing that some great feat he just accomplished. You have no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
Neither do we.
I'm with you. No, I'm just kidding. I do know, but you know, the thing is, he like spent an entire probably Martin Luther King weekend or something, and he just got home from work at 5:30. I think I heard him give this. I think I heard him say this explanation just a couple hours ago. He got home. He gets home from work at 5:30, 6 o'clock. Skips his meal, skips his shower, and then he plays Skyrim till like 5 in the morning.
Meals, okay, Jonathan. I clearly
just on the weekends
skip meals. All right, buddy? I was describing a certain kind of person that's responsible for what's happening right now in the market with GameStop.
Yo,
which is right. We're going to the moon, boys.
Which is a good segue to start talking about that.
Yeah.
See, I can't even clap him back because that's how white privilege works. You know, he gets to mess on the Latinos and downtrodden.
Yes.
But we can't mess with, you know, he's white, so he's got to be right.
Also,
I'm white. Look, hey, do you see where I'm at right now? Like I'm being held hostage against
my will. I was
will.
about to say that.
All
Look
right.
at this shit.
So what are you talking about? White privilege, man.
What are you talking about? That's your bunker. You're in a panic room right now, hiding from other Latinos. That's what you're doing.
Hiding.
That's what you're doing, right, buddy?
There's 94% white people in my neighborhood. I've been looking for them. I can't find them, motherfuckers. I can't find other Latinos.
He is affirmative action.
He built a panic room as a base.
The man's made it. The man's made it.
No, he tested it on someone else. He's like, yeah, we built this for you. Get the fuck in your game.
Yeah, on my son. You're not gonna see the light of day, motherfucker, until you go to basic training.
Yo,
it leaves, and all of a sudden, Jonathan's like, all right, my panic room is good. My son has tested it.
Yeah. Shout out to Tony, man, graduating today from Air Force basic training. That's a hell of an accomplishment. So proud of you, my brother. If you watch this, salute to you. I'll give you with the right hand. Good job, man.
Yeah,
proud of you, brother.
What was that? A left-handed salute?
And it's the Air Force. It's also the Air Force, right?
Go.
It's also
walk
the Air
away.
Force.
Come back in 5 minutes.
It's also the Air Force.
Hey, by the way, congratulations, Tone. Proud of you. Love you. But as much shit as we give the Air Force, by the way, you know, we talk about how they have room service and maids and all this shit. He literally was in a hotel for 2 weeks. He was in a hotel for 2 weeks because there were 5 people that had COVID in his flight.
Oh my God.
They put him up in a hotel. He had room service for 2 weeks. While in basic training,
strikes again.
While in basic training, so they just they make it too easy to make fun of them. But
whole different
but
breed
still,
there.
but congratulations, told you. I mean, you went back to training. You know, you went to the field. You did everything. I really am proud of you. It sucks that we couldn't be there in San Antonio, but hopefully he'll be home in a couple months after he does his tech school.
Yeah, man, for real.
Yeah, hopefully they don't. You know, he doesn't have to go anywhere dangerous like Ben had to.
Hey, Hawaii was.
Yeah,
Hawaii was
Ben,
out
I
hard
mean,
out here.
the mean streets of Hawaii.
Yeah, I'm
goddamn
saying,
right. Had to dodge Samoans, son.
And you know, Ben had some tough times over there, right? But tough. What was that street you kept telling me about?
Okay.
Where you ran into like the lady boys?
Hey, all right. Listen.
And then when you found out, you just kept
they
going
all
back
look-
anyway.
They all look like me.
Oh!
They all look like me. I was like, yo, what's up, dude? Yo, what's up? All right, we good. Let's just keep it moving.
Yeah, but
so
there you go. I was gonna say, yeah, Ben's into that, so I figured,
Oh, okay, that's what we doing.
he'd be like, oh,
It was paradise. When he got to Hawaii, he's like, oh, now I know what they call it paradise.
Yeah,
right.
Except it
Call
was
it
for the wrong reasons. Right? These
Bangkok
different
Junior is what they
reasons.
call it. You know what I mean? Bangkok Junior is what they call it. That's just what it is.
sure
I didn't
well
even know
acquainted.
that, man. No.
Yeah, no, hey, listen,
not even the rich white man in his panic room knew that. Like
Urban
that's all
Dictionary.
you.
All right, man. Let's
Only
get
you,
into
man.
this. Let's get into this wild shit that happened. Probably going back like 3-4 weeks, right? I got into it probably the last couple of days. I didn't buy any stock. Jonathan, earlier today, like you sent us, well, you sent one of the other group chats like a 6-minute voice message. By the way, amazing that you didn't say any uhs or ums. So salute to you.
I gotta cut you off, by the way. What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? The legend? You were not the legend.
Yeah.
I just now saw that on the bottom.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
That
I
is
was
the
like,
wrong
oh,
name.
No, I know.
But okay.
I said what I said. Okay.
I'm in a panic room, so okay.
Exactly. So you sent us a voice message, and it was the best description that I want you to give now to help people understand like what it was and what Wall Street and hedge funds are doing to help us all understand how fucking crazy what's happening right now is.
Yeah. So in 2019, one, I would say upper middle class investor. I mean, because he invested initially $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
He felt or thought, based on data, that GameStop's stock at that time was undervalued severely. So he bought it very, very low. We're talking under $7, under $6, like really cheap.
$4, I think.
Yeah, it's like $4. So like dog shit cheap. And he held it. And as time went by, he bought more and bought more. But then something started happening last fall. It started getting shorted. So as it started getting shorted, if you look at the metric trends, you just see this nice little line dropping and dropping and dropping.
Myth, can you explain what shorting is?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
For people that don't know.
So whenever you short a stock, which is something I don't recommend anyone fucking do, because you'll learn what happens if you don't do it right, is when you borrow a stock. You borrow the stock, an X amount of stocks, okay? It could be God knows how many, but just wary of that. You have to agree to borrow a certain amount from a broker, and you're telling them, hey, I need to borrow this. And you're gonna agree to borrow it for an extended amount of time, and you're gonna give it back to him. Just simplifying it, the explanation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just to explain it to everyday people in a way that they would really understand. We've all been to school, to grade school, okay? We've all had one person go, hey, can I borrow your pencil? So imagine if you loaned them that pencil, and that pencil has a value, right, of $1.
Mm-hmm.
That person then turns around and sells the pencil to someone else for $1. Their plan is to short it, as in they expect the price of that pencil to drop. They borrowed it, sold it for $1, which was its worth, and they figure it's going to drop to 80 cents in like 30 days, 2 months, whatever you agreed upon. Mm-hmm. Normally you don't short a stock for a year, so we're talking smaller time frames here. So what happened is, what ended up happening is, if the price declines, you can then buy the pencil back, right, at 80 cents. You made 20 cents. That's your profit. Now start adding some zeros, and you start to understand how this works in the stock market. Okay. Instead of $1, it's $10 or $100 for that share or that pencil.
Yeah. And people that are shorting stocks, you need to have you're either a big institutional trader, right, like the hedge fund managers, or the people, we'll call them retail traders like you and I, but you need to have a margin account. So you need to have at least 20, 25,000 in an account to be able to do that, to have some leverage to short stocks. So that's a special kind of trading. It requires more capital.
Yeah, because your broker has to feel confident that you will pay that back if it goes belly up, if you fucked up.
Yeah.
So if you have, say, $5,000 in your account, Robinhood will never let you short a stock.
Yeah.
Because you don't normally short one stock option. You short
multiple.
Several.
Yeah.
Multiple. You need to be very aware of your surroundings when you're doing this. So what ends up happening is people like us three, we do not short stocks. It takes years for us to margin. And if we do have margin, usually would you really risk the margin you worked so hard to achieve on one short? Most
on
of
a hell
us
of
are
a
probably
gamble.
not getting
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a gamble. If you're an institution, a hedge fund with people giving you their money to manage, all right, you've got a lot more margin. You have reputation, brokerage, brokerages will be like, yeah, sure. How much do you need? What ended up happening is these guys that have this privilege over shorted the stock of GameStop.
136%.
So
yeah.
What ended up happening is this dude, this is all information you can find on something like Yahoo Finance if you really want to know.
Yeah.
It's out there public. This guy did not have to pay anyone for this information. This is not insider trading.
Nope.
This is not like he had to cajole someone to give it to him. He just looked. That's all he did. Just like Barbary and the guys who did the big short back in 06, 07.
Yep.
Same shit. Someone just took a look. Like, what's going on with GameStop? And he noticed it. Hey, wait a minute. With this volume and this floating amount of shares and this many shares outstanding that are being shorted, it's a game of musical chairs officially, as far as GameStop is concerned.
Right.
You have more shares shorted than are available in the market because you can't buy more than 100% of shares.
Yeah.
So when you have that kind of way, that exposure, you're like, oh, fuck. If you're one of the big firms, no one's publicizing this shit. Nope. So you're thinking no one will notice. We'll make our money. We'll make our killing and maybe go back for more if we want to get greedier.
Yep.
That's exactly what happened. They got really greedy. And it should be illegal to not be able to short more than 100% of a company's stock.
Correct.
Because essentially you could potentially put it out of business.
Which it seemed like what they were trying to do is they're driving the stock price down. And because they are these big institutional traders, they're almost like the market makers, right? Because the way that they go, everyone else goes. So by the time that the retail trader gets in, all the profits have already been taken. But because they're trading in such big blocks, they move the market because they're the ones that have hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. So they move the market.
Correct. So by the time they would have gotten out and we would have read about it on the Wall Street Journal or Forbes, if we decided, oh shit, I'm going to short GameStop. I mean, sure, but your profit would have been like 5 cents per share because you would have finally heard about it and gotten in when it was like probably well below $2.
Right.
When it's been decimated. And then the everyday Joe would be like, well, I'm going to get in on this. And since they're not knowledgeable about how this really works, when it goes a little lower, they sell and they're like, hey, I thank you very much. I made my profit.
Yep.
This time what happened is one of the upper middle class people who knows about this shit saw their hand in the cookie jar, saw they were overexposed,
and
didn't keep it to himself.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. He started buying more and then he goes, I could make a shit ton of money if other people start buying.
Right. Because he's
that's
reversing that trend.
When you buy a stock, it goes up in price. Kind of like supply and demand kind of scenario. Where like everybody wants it. Well, there's only so much of this available, so I guess the price goes up as more people need it and want it. Well, what do you think happened? He went to a subreddit and it pretty much just put it out there very nicely. This is what's going on. Let's fuck them over. And they did it. They started doing it. People were going in, buying. People who probably shouldn't have been buying as much as they did buy. And the plan was just to hold out until the stock rose. And then they were like, if they lose a lot of money and they go belly up, tits up, then fuck them. Because after what happened in 08, which people did not know how things worked back then.
Right.
This time, it's pretty easy to understand the legality of the situation. It's like you're shorting more than what's available. So if we buy it all, that percentage over 100 is what's going to fuck you.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we own most of it. So if you want it all, you got to buy it at our price.
Yeah.
So if So if they bought it at $4, $8 a share, the hedge funds, and they bought millions of blocks or thousands of blocks, all you need is like a few million, tens of millions of people doing it at like 20 shares a pop. That adds up. That adds up real fucking quick. Drive up a price.
Yeah.
Right.
And then came the whale, Elon Musk. When Musk got a hold of this and tweeted it,
GameStop.
I can only imagine how much he purchased. Because he's not one of us. He literally can afford to play with the big dogs and be like, yes, get me like as many options as possible. This is going to go through the roof and then I'll sell it afterward. Yeah. And it was great, right? Not so great when it got leaked that other stocks were also being shorted.
Yeah.
And some of these stocks were what I consider penny stocks, like very low quality, like cents on the dollar. Some are less than a cent.
Which doesn't even make sense. Right.
But penny stocks, I mean, I think technically anything under $5 is considered a penny stock.
Stock. Yeah. So like GameStop was technically considered a penny stock essentially when that guy bought into it. So imagine a stock that's worth like 90 cents per share. Where the hell is it going to go if not to zero? Mm-hmm. So when people expose the list of stocks right now that were the most shorted, all of a sudden people were like, ding, if we buy these prices go up and these hedge funds have to fucking start buying, because if they don't start buying, it's sort of like you gotta mitigate your losses. Exactly. Yep. So going back to the pencil analogy, sold it for $1, bought it back for 80 cents, made their 20-cent profit. Fuck you, here's your pencil.
Yeah.
Now, what if the opposite occurred, which is what happened here? Got the pencil, sold it for $1, but then asked you for more pencils, then asked to borrow more pencils than you had in your book bag. Sold them. And they're thinking, oh, I'll make a fat profit now. Now I have like $80 worth of pencils out there that I sold. I got my $80. I'm waiting for this shit to drop to 80 cents each or even 50 cents each pencil. Right. I'm going to make a fucking killing now.
Right.
Someone noticed that exchange and went, oh, fuck that. I'm just going to start buying the pencils on the market. All of a sudden now it never dropped to 80 cents or 50 cents. It started going up to $1.50, $2, $3. And since this stock was originally under $10 or $16 and then went all the way up to $400, do the math. Like that's a ridiculous amount of an increase. So imagine if you're that guy with the pencil analogy. You got your $80, but now all of a sudden for you to give those pencils back to the person you borrowed it from in time, you have to spend close to $800.
Right.
Jesus.
You're fucked.
Okay.
Yeah, think about that, Ben.
Okay.
That's exactly what just went down.
So
all right.
That's what happened, and we're talking about billions of dollars. What is it?
Yeah.
They were 70 billion in debt.
You're seeing this? I'm keeping the numbers small so it's easy to follow.
Yeah. Once you start going billions. Yeah.
Yeah. Add a bunch of zeros. This all equated to $70 billion in losses.
Good.
For these hedge funds.
Good, right?
And look, it's not that that we're saying GameStop is this great company or that's not the point, right? Because
it could have been any company.
Employees are most of them are minimum wage employees, so they're paying their employees minimum wage. But GameStop was on the brink of going into bankruptcy. They have a ton of debt, and so what happens when they don't go into bankruptcy? Those employees, even though they are minimum wage, they still have a job to go to tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that.
True.
And so what these hedge funds are doing and money managers they're betting against this company. They're betting for this company to fail. Completely. And they can do that because they control billions of dollars. And so it's not really that, it's a win for GameStop because they're not the little guy either. They're a big corporation.
Yep.
It's a win for the fact that you and I and those subreddit, I think they call themselves degenerates, the Wallstreetbets guys. There's 3 million of them and counting.
Yeah, I'm in it.
That you can get like Myth said. I'm still upset that you haven't changed that name down there. That
you should see your name.
You can
you see
you bastard. I see it. But I'm trying to get into my flow state. I can't.
I got you.
But whatever. Anyway, that you can get the normal person buying 5, 10, 15, 20 shares, and you get enough people to do that, and they can turn the tide on one of these big hedge funds. Because fine, it's legal. You can short a stock. it's legal. It's fucking terrible that you can bet on a company to fail and then make money that way. And so, but if that's legal, public information, how is it not legal to say, hey, I've noticed that these guys are over leveraged, that they're buying 136% of, or they're shorting it by more than the amount of shares that actually exist. So this is why I'm buying it. And it's not insider trading. It's public knowledge. So what's illegal about that? And so we're getting $600 and $1,200 and $1,400, from checks from the government, and people complain about that. But here we go. We got a hedge fund saying, "Hey, we're gonna need to get bailed out because we lost $70 billion."
That's the
lost $70 billion of what? Of your millionaire clients' money, and they still have millions of dollars left to play with. People over here. And the sad part is that there are people today that are trying to get in on GameStop when it's this is over. Like, it's still at 190. I don't know what it's at today in after hours trading, but the wave came, and the ones that are holding, that's good for them. I don't think it's going to go back up. I think it's going to continue to steady decline. But people are going to now they're hearing the news. That's what we talked about. People that don't know now, they think they're going to get in. Oh, I can still make $1 or $2. No, you're going to buy it at 150, 180, whatever it's at. And it's just going to continue to go down. And these guys that are putting in $1,500, $2,000, that might be closer to life savings. I mean, the average American family can't deal with a $500 or $1,000 emergency. So people are getting essentially their government checks their $600 checks and trying to make a buck. Today, they're going to lose that money. And can you imagine? Thankfully, they can't buy options, because just like if you're short selling, you need a special account, you need experience, you need X amount of money. But can you imagine these guys that did buy options late? I don't think there would be too many of them. If they have enough money, hopefully they have enough knowledge not to buy options now.
Sure that anyone who bought options did it at the right time frame in that Goldilocks zone, because you need experience for that. The inexperienced would know not to do it anymore. They would know to do like what I did, which is just buy the stock. It's not an option. I'm not going to buy a call of 100 shares of GameStop, because I'm like, okay, I don't know where the fuck this is going to go now. I missed that boat when it was really cheap. Now I'm entering it in the $22, $25 range. It's like, oh, for all I fucking know, it gets to 40 and it dips. But it's like, that's not a good deal for me. It's like, no. So then all of a sudden, that's not what happened. What ended up happening is just keep going and going and going and going. And then that's when I was like, all right, I'm just going to, like right now at 25, just buy 5 shares. And then it got to 20. I was like, I'll buy another 5. Then it got to 30. And I was like, you know what? I'll stop at 15. When I got to 50, I bought one more. And I was like, that's enough. And then all of a sudden, that shit shot up. And I was like, all right, that's it. I'm selling Monday or Tuesday. Selling that and walking away. Because I was like, I don't want to get greedy and be like, this is going to go up to the moon, It's like, no, it's hysteria. It's hype. It's psychology. You want to fuck the hedge fund who you caught with their hand in the cookie jar.
Constantly.
I'm trying to make a couple $1,000s off this quick swap, essentially. Because I'm betting that the hedge fund brokers are going to lose their shit, and they're going to have to keep buying to, mitigate their losses. These guys are going to keep buying to keep raising the price. So I'm just letting them fight each other, and I'm just coming in really quick, sneaking in, getting my quick money and getting out. However, because this extended to not just one stock, that's where the consequences start coming in. Because once I realized, I'm like, oh, this is now happening with AMC.
And Nokia.
And Nokia.
And
NCAT. And Bed Bath & Beyond. And Blueberry. It's like, I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm just going to start, doing the exact same process. Only now it's AMC. Only now it's Nokia. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Let me do the almost similar thing. Stop before I get to like 20 shares. Because again, you don't know in this kind of hysteria when the bubble will pop. So if you lose small. And if you win huge. Because these are very special situations. This is not common. You want to know what the common day, like real trading is like? Jonathan and I would talk on the phone. We would share some news that we both read online about a company that might be distributing something or getting a contract. We're like, what's the stock like now? It's at $20 a share. we're like, fuck it, let's buy 5. Let's see where this goes. Or even more, if we have more capital, we might just do an option at that point and just get 100. If we think it's really going to go up, we agree to a strike price. We agree to premiums, which is what you pay to keep, while you hold on to the call, because it's a right to buy the stock, not, you don't have to. So we could discuss that on the phone. We do it, and then we buy. We could do a long call and hold out for 3-4 months. And if it pays off, Jonathan and I make a little bit of money depending on how many we bought. If it's a call, we probably make a good amount.
Right. If
it's a few stocks, we make be decent depending on the rise, or it could be negligible, but okay. It's a win. A win is a win at the end of the day. What ends up happening is that's boring. That's a boring thing, dude.
Yeah.
Then there's the other side, which is even more boring, which is you're in it for the long haul. So an example of this would be if you bought World Wrestling Entertainment stock when it was like dog shit and really, really low in the 40s. And you're there waiting and waiting for it to rise. It gets into the 50s now. Depending on how many stock you bought, that jump might be totally worth it to you. It might not. You might just hold out at $52, $53 and say it's bound to go up to the 80s because of everything coming down for that company. And so that's the other side of the stock market, which is actually investing in a company, actually over time, trying to buy low and just waiting until there's that crazy hysteria.
But you have to, but when you talk about that, you're looking at like for me, I would buy, and I haven't, I buy ETFs now. I'm looking into getting into REITs.
Hey, John, you're throwing too many acronyms.
A lot of money.
Too many acronyms. I'm gonna need you to break that down, brother.
Real estate investment trust.
Thank you. And what the fuck is the ETF? Remember,
ETFs, exchange traded funds. So just think of it as like a mutual fund. If you've heard of a mutual fund, it's a bunch of like different stocks, a mix of different stocks. We'll say that. Okay. But so I was looking into buying duplexes. You and I talked about this a few months ago when I went to visit, when I was COVID free.
Yes.
But with the way that things are now, it's like, well, people can't pay their rent. So what am I going to do with a duplex that's sitting there and people are protected by the government, or should be protected by the government from like unscrupulous landlords from collecting rent? And
Jared
that's fine. If I was going to get into real estate, Jared Kushner. If I was going to get into real estate like that, I would be understanding. I'd be like, okay, you can't pay rent. We'll make a payment plan. But then that's capital I have just sitting there and property not generating money. So a better way would be maybe investing into REITs, which is like ETFs. You're investing, and you're not investing in like a physical property, but it's a different way of investing in real estate. But Jesus, there's the remnants of COVID.
Yeah.
It's just, man, it's. But in the end, what Jonathan just described, what I described, that's the norm.
Right, but isn't that John? But isn't that more so if you have the money to spend on that type, like to have the patience, you have to have like what Vallejo said earlier, right? Is that to do that type of stuff, you need to have some kind of savings already. You shouldn't be doing that. I want to make this like you shouldn't be doing that with your savings. You should have the liquid money to like invest in that. Yeah. Like that shouldn't.
For me, I started small. So for me, it was like a $5,000 account, and that at $5,000, and I used 3%. And if I'm gonna buy a stock, like if I wasn't doing day trading, because for day trading, you have to have a margin account, so you can do it every day. If not, then the SEC says you can only make X amount of trades, like day trades, quote unquote, within a specified amount of time. If you go over that, then you can't go over that. If you do, I think you're fine, whatever. So, but I'm not doing day trading, but I was doing some more like swing trading, really short-term swing trading, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month and a half, where I would buy something. And a lot of that stuff is done based off speculation, meaning, oh, okay, this company right here, they have an earnings call next week. And so you're researching like their financials and looking at the price to earnings ratio on these stocks. You're actually looking at the debt that they're holding. But if you're really like invested in a stock and actually doing your due diligence, right? Is what it's, I guess, a proper term. But people that do, a lot of people, not everyone, that do day trading and this kind of crazy, like, it's speculative. You're saying, oh, we have news coming up, and there's news that, let's say, the pandemic is a perfect example. A lot of these biotech companies that were bidding to develop a vaccine.
Right.
And so you look at all these biotech companies that have something in the works, and a lot of them will say they have news coming out, or they have earnings coming out, or there's news that they're moving on to the next stage of testing. And so that's how a lot of people in these penny stocks and like the paper stocks or OTC, that's how they invest. If you want to call it investing, it's really like gambling and betting.
Yes.
Based on speculation and news that possibly the FDA is going to approve this drug, and then it's going to shoot from 75 cents to like 4.50 or something.
Right.
Or
which is a huge
16 cents
huge
to
profit.
like $5, which is huge.
Yeah, which sounds really bullshit money, except it depends on how many of these options you buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So to give you an example, if you bought in January of 2019, EA Electronic Arts, which is a publisher for video games, they were at $76.57 a share. That was it, right?
Right.
If you wanted to experiment, like as in like you're starting out, you have a $5,000 account, you don't want to overexpose yourself, consider that $5,000 gone, even though you can trade with it.
Right.
Let's say you would have said, I'm going to buy $1,000 worth of this stock at 76 each one, right? You're not doing a call option, you lack the experience.
You're just buying the straight up stocks.
Yeah, you're just you're not really practicing, but you're not exposing yourself to such a dangerous precedent if you lose. You're just sort of going, let's see how this goes. Like he said, small trades. You buy, you wait through 2-3 weeks, you sell, right? Because if Jonathan or I fuck up, the exposure is minimal. Versus, if we go, oh yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna invest all $5,000 right here because I know this will work.
Right.
If you fuck up, guess what? You gotta close your account unless you make another $5,000. So the problem here was, if you bought that like in January 2019, it was what, like it shot up to $90. Right 2 weeks before that, it was at 70 something. So in 2 weeks, it shot up $20. If you bought $1,000 worth of that stock, so roughly over 10 shares, hey, congratulations, you made $20 more per share.
Yep.
Good for you. If you did what Jonathan and I normally do, which is like about a month at most, right? You hold on to it until it gets to February, because you bought it in late December, you want to sell it in early February. You notice that it's like at 97 going over 100. That's where you got to make a decision here. You've already got a profit margin. Do you want to hold or do you want to sell? If you're inexperienced, you're selling. You're right there. You're like, it's 97. I bought it at 70 something. I want out of this racket. I can't handle the stress.
Right.
If you understand the industry you're investing in, which is something we haven't touched up on that I highly recommend. If you understand the industry you're investing money in, you're not going to be as naive, even though you're just started trading.
Right.
You're going to understand how it works. So you're going to be like, I'm going to shut the fuck up and just stop looking at this for a few days. Right. If you would have gone back to EA in 2020, if you would have held on to that stock, just held on to it. If you were like, it's a fucking publishing company, video games are going nowhere.
Right.
These guys are about to do something amazing. People are going to go nuts with it. This is going to shoot eventually, because that's how gaming is. In July, it shot up to $141.62 last year. So if you would have just held that stock and understood the industry, you would not have done what Jonathan or I do. Your profit margin would have been good, right? We would have sold at 97. No. But if you would have understood the video game industry, you would have been like, I'm going to fucking wait until this is at least over 100.
Right.
And then at that point, you would have doubled almost your investment at 141.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. But those are the thing. You have to understand the fundamentals of the company. You have to understand what those fundamentals are. You have to understand how a company is really working, the industry that they work in as well. And you should diversify your stakes in companies. You should not just go all in on one.
Yeah, you shouldn't go all in on video games or publishing or anything like that. You should do your research on a
yeah,
multitude of different companies and stuff like that.
Correct.
Right.
So that's boring. None of this is fun, really. It's exciting when you cash out, right? When you sell it, you make money, and you're like, yeah.
And everybody's talking about it. Yeah.
But it's us regular average Joes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong. Keep me honest here. What's the most you've invested in a stock? 2,000-3,000?
About 2,000. Walgreens, 2007, 8.
Okay. How much time from when you started to that investment? How much time passed?
I still have it. But here's the thing. Walgreens, it's not one of the, there's a term called the aristocrats of dividend paying stocks. That means they've paid dividends for 25 plus years, consecutive years.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if you're doing long-term, like I bought Walgreens when it was like 17 or 16, sometime 2008.
Oh my God.
It went up to 20 something. It went back down. It's at $50 right now. But my initial investment was $2,000. And I would watch it. After a while, would stop. But there, you just like he was saying, if you know the sector, like there are pharmaceutical companies that you've never even heard of, and they've paid dividends for like 50 straight years, and pharmaceuticals aren't going away.
Yep, never.
Walgreens, eventually, like, I mean, Eckerd went away. I remember Eckerd on Hialeah Drive.
Yes.
Gone.
Yeah, gone completely.
But
now it's CVS.
I mean, yeah. So, but Walgreens is one of those companies where I at the time I was like, I don't think they're going anywhere. And I bought like $2,000, and I kept buying a little more every month. I put in like $50, $100.
That's the secret. That what you just
holding, and then it makes dividends, and those dividends I just reinvest them back into the stock.
Correct. So that is this.
What's dividends?
Experience.
Sorry,
Jonathan.
What's the simplest explanation? Essentially, the company pays you. They pay you 2%, 3%. I think this past year was like 3.7% for Walgreens.
Mm-hmm.
So they pay you a dividend. That's exactly what it sounds like. You pass go, collect $200, collect your 3.7%.
Gotcha.
And then you can either take that money or you can just reinvest it and buy more stock.
And you get that at the end of the fiscal year, right? Like that, which is typically what, like October?
I think so. I'm doing quarterly.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So it's okay. That's not bad. All right.
So the
I'm just asking the questions that not a lot of people know of, because I don't know much about it.
If you look historically, though, if you just invest in an ETF or an exchange traded fund that follows like the S&P 500, you're gonna beat the market. You're gonna beat the market.
Yeah.
That it's been proven. If you go back, like I think the last 20 years, just ETFs have beat the market consistently. Like, you're gonna have years where if you just try to do it yourself, you're going to get these huge gains, but you're also going to take these huge losses, and these ETFs have been more consistent over a longer period of time.
Okay.
So you're looking for consistency and performance. You're not looking for too much volatility.
Mm-hmm.
Which then goes to another thing that people need to be aware of is you learn real quick how much risk.
Your appetite for risk right away.
If you're like really scared of losing and you don't like risk, brother, I don't care how many years you spend in this game, you're not gonna make much money really, because you're always gonna
be really safe.
Low quality. You're gonna be super safe. It'll be like something where it's you can say you trade, but if you compared your portfolio, your buys and sells over a 5-year span with someone who's a little less averse to risk,
mm-hmm.
you're going to notice that they probably made more money.
They lost a lot more at some points, but they also made a lot
more too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also made a lot because they understood, maybe I'll hold out. Oh, fuck, I messed up. Let me sell, take the L, and then try again.
Right.
And so that's kind of the proper mindset. What's happening now isn't really the proper mindset. I don't want anyone to think that what the subreddit guys are doing, or what now that their Discord server got shut down, which is complete fuck you from Discord. Yeah. They teamed up with other people. This isn't really the norm. This is something new. Hopefully it's not a genesis of this thing, because then you're gonna genuinely invite the government to start regulating this differently. Yeah. So
and it's going to be in the favor of the hedge funds.
Yeah, it's not going to be
100%. We'll get fucked.
Their favor, because they have lobbies and they can pay Congress to pretty much pass laws.
Exactly, they have lobbyists to do that. Every time it'll be, you can't trade, your accounts have been frozen. until these hedge funds get their money back and we stabilize the market.
Which is what they're
Because
doing
of
now.
all the volatility.
You want some of the preview of what they can do? All right. So after Wednesday, right, where these guys were openly talking on now a different Discord server and on Twitter, they were hashtagging literally symbols, tickers that you can research yourself and be like, buy. And then they would post screenshots of like little things moving up green, which it looks really pretty, but they don't really give you a proper gauge of what's your return here, depending on what you invest.
Right.
And they were appealing to the lowest common denominator. They were appealing to people who didn't understand how it worked, but psychologically were like, okay, if so many people are into this on social media, I mean, I got to get in. It's called FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yes.
So if you're afraid of missing out on the opportunity, you're just going to jump in. And that's a huge no-no in Wall Street. Yeah. You should not be afraid of missing out. You should just be like, it's okay. There will be another opportunity, another chance,
and
another stocks. Relax. This happens often. Shut the fuck up. Move on with your life. The average person does not know that. So when they start seeing this area, they're like, oh shit, I need to get in this now. Except the problem is when a bunch of people did start to get into it in small quantities, we're talking 1 share, 2 shares. Because remember, once GameStop passed $150, how many average Americans have that kind of money to just gamble?
Right. Not many. Less than 50%.
So people were thinking, if I buy 1 share at 150, if it goes up to whatever the fuck they're talking about, I make some extra money. And I turn it around, and it's not a lot, but for me, might be living paycheck to paycheck, who might be unemployed, who might not even be paying their mortgage or rent anymore because they don't have work, but they have a stimulus check, right? They can turn that around and maybe double it possibly.
Yep. Flip it, make some money.
Which you think doesn't matter when you're a hedge fund broker making millions of dollars a year? When you're some regular Joe making $33,000 a year and your job furloughed you, and you had no savings for this shit,
and you have kids,
and someone comes to you with an easy solution to double your stimulus check money, a lot of people who are not educated in this are going to be like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna buy as much as I can.
Yep.
Driving the price up more, serving up the hysteria more, hurting these guys more. Yeah. Because all they're seeing is, fuck, I have to buy yet again because my losses now keep accumulating. And the other thing they don't fucking tell you is, if they bought at 8, God knows how many millions, and it rose up from $8 to 151, and they have to buy at that, their losses are just way more. It just gets worse.
70 billion.
Because they're betting that it's going down to 4 or 5 or anything less than 8.
Anything less than 8. So it's like, for fuck's sake, stop making it go up. So they're really hedging. All the Wall Street guys have to do.
Hence the term, right? Hedge funds.
Buy at a loss. Just do what the average person does when they fuck up. You made your gamble. Someone caught you on it. They bet against you. It happens all the fucking time.
Yep.
You're the loser in the equation.
Yeah.
So, buy your shit, give it back early. No one's forcing you to not fucking have it, right? You borrowed it. You
ego,
sold
right?
it.
Yeah.
Ego must have been the only thing that ego must have been the only thing that kept them in it, right?
Huh?
Ego must have been the only thing that kept them in it with those stocks. Like the people who the hedge funds were like, oh no, we're gonna show these motherfuckers. Oh, we're gonna buy them out. Like, no man. They didn't know.
I don't know. I don't know what their mentality is. All right. All I know is that these guys are not the kind of guys that like to lose money.
Exactly.
So
I mean, you imagine you bought it at 8 and you said, and whatever the date, the expected date was, but they said that it was going to go down to 5 and they bought millions upon millions of shares.
Yeah.
And so instead of going to 5, it's at 4. It went up to 422 today. It went up to like 392.
That's when.
But it went over 400
on the hammer. And so, Robinhood at that point, was essentially going like their entire defense of this was, to summarize it, they have fiduciary responsibilities.
Yes,
they
do.
To be held accountable.
Right.
And so it was in the end of those responsibilities to say, you people don't get to buy anymore. You can sell what you got though. And that was the fuck you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because the right decision really from Robinhood and everyone else is, let it play out, because that's the way this was designed to work. This was designed to be a free market.
Yeah,
these hedge fund guys made a decision. They were caught. That's it. All of a sudden, they're like, "Wah, we don't like losing. We needed to get bailed out by some other hedge fund.
Yeah,
this is bullshit. These guys don't know what they're doing. They're causing volatility in the market. This isn't what we signed up for.
We need to start regulations."
Well, all it sounds like to me is when you're fucking playing Monopoly and you're playing with someone who always lost to you, who didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Yep.
And then they understood that if they bought Park Place,
they could get in the game.
And you landed there once.
Yeah.
They could make so much money.
You gotta put a hook.
Also, that's not how you win Monopoly, by the way.
No, it's not.
If you want to know how to win Monopoly, you buy the cheapest properties up front right away. You buy that first row. And if you play by the real rules, when you have a chance to buy, you have to auction that shit off. If you decide not to auction it off, you buy every fucking property every chance you get. And if someone says no, you fucking pay top dollar until you have no fucking cash, but you have all the properties. Eventually, you're gonna start getting paid.
We're talking
fuck Park Place. I'm gonna be a slumlord. I'm gonna buy that shit I'm buying the worst fucking.
I'm buying Baltic, bitch. Property. I'm buying Baltic. Fuck out of here.
That shit. Fuck Park Place. For $50, I can put up a hotel in Baltic, motherfucker. And you gotta be paying me like $250.
I'm just saying, like when you're playing Monopoly as a kid or a teenager, unless you're really brilliant at figuring out how the economy of the board works.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking at the money signs. They're not looking at the volume or the chances, the probability of landing here versus here.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening a lot in Monopoly is people go, if I buy Park Place, I win. And then they get lucky and you accidentally land there and then you're fucked.
Yeah, you're fucked.
You're fucked. It's over.
Baltic and Connecticut, baby. As soon as you pass go, you're gonna give me your $200 and then some.
Imagine that Monopoly game.
Jonathan did
all the right things. He bought as many properties as he could, right? And here comes me, some schmuck who just isn't as knowledgeable of the game, and all I'm looking at is dollar signs, and I'm like, oh, if I just get this Park Place. Jonathan's probably going, go ahead, fucking buy it. What the hell do I care? Until Jonathan lands there. And then now it's like, well, how did you develop that one fucking property? Yes, I did. Thank you. All of a sudden, imagine if right when that happens, Jonathan goes, well, this isn't really the right rule book. There's another rule book.
Yeah, we're using house rules here. You're playing by a different set of rules.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, on the very next turn, when Jonathan gets to pass go, he's like, well, now I need $500, not $200. I got to get bailed out for what I just experienced here.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, I'm experiencing it using Monopoly. And the next thing you know, Jonathan hasn't landed on one of the utility properties. You do. But then Jonathan says, well, according to the rules, since you got me back here, you're not allowed to buy properties for one whole turn of the board.
Yeah.
That's the fuck you that they
What fucking rules? The one that the lobbyist gets paid to fucking tell Congress.
So that's what pissed me off. That's when I got angry. Yeah. Like, if you didn't stop them from buying,
why are you stopping me?
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, buddy. Like, no, there are a lot of people who were buying what they were doing. A lot of retail traders, as they call, or retail investors, that aren't as dumb, who were not buying in massive volumes. What ended up happening is, as I said on the voice chat, this was a great example of a lot of money versus a lot of volume. Yeah.
But that frustrates me, man. These hedge funds, because they're not creating a product or service. And these dollar amounts that they trade in, like, this isn't real money. Billions of dollars, like, it's not real money, right? It's just ones and zeros on a computer, on a server somewhere. But they're betting against a company, regardless whether you like the company or not. They're betting that this company is going to fail.
Yep.
And that's why they're shorting the stock. So they're betting that it's going to go under.
Right.
And it's legal, and that's fine, but they're not creating anything except their millionaire clients are getting even richer if that company did fail. Whereas GameStop, whether you like them or not, whether they pay their employees minimum wage or not, they're providing jobs. They're providing a product for the people and a service. And so, they're gonna get away with it. Yeah. Your account gets frozen. Look, I have an account with Robinhood, but I haven't used it in years. And I got an email at 5:23 today, an update on market conditions, because I still have an account with them, even though I don't use them. I use E-Trade. And it's telling me limited buying for certain securities, blah, blah. I already knew what it was about. Immediately when I got that email 3 hours ago, I knew, oh, I haven't traded on your platform for 3 years, but you want to make sure that you know why you're freezing my account. If that is indeed what they're doing.
Yeah,
limited trading.
Yeah, they're telling you who you can buy, what you can buy, and what you can do.
Yeah.
Right. Because and it's frustrating, right? Because like I didn't realize it till you talked about it. Like The Big Short, that's literally like till you put this together with that, like, oh, okay, now I get it. They shorted the shit out of the housing market because they bet on things, and so they made profit off that. Okay, I get it. So
the same thing. Only housing market, it was just GameStop. Like these guys were those people back then. They were just like, this one guy figured it out, right? Just like
all these people have loans they shouldn't have loans, and
It was like Dr. Burberry, Barbary. I can't pronounce his name right ever. Like
he was
eccentric, brilliant dude. He's brilliant dude. He was the first one that kind of went, hey, wait a minute, and then from there, it spread.
That's the Christian Bale character, right?
Yeah, that's the Christian Bale character. He's the one that had them create credit default swaps on mortgage-backed securities. And so once he did that, which was at the time, I'm assuming innovative to the bank, because all they were thinking about is, sure. My favorite line in the movie is when they're like, we can start you at 5 million. And he goes, how about 100 million?
Mm-hmm.
Like that should have scared the bank.
Yes.
If I would have been on the opposite side of that chair, I would have said, can we get back to you in a few days and do a deep analysis of what you want to buy?
Mm-hmm. Right.
No one buys $100 million of anything unless the game is rigged in that.
Unless they know why.
It's not speculation at that price point.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Me buying $28 of Dogecoin today after tripling my initial investment of Dogecoin. That's speculation. That's me minimizing risk and trying to play it safe. If I would have turned around and spent $1,000 on Dogecoin, there's something I'm not telling somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Because now I'm buying $1,000 worth of something that's 2 cents per coin. So do the math. I know something. So when he did that, he knew. He did the math already. He was just like, what's going to happen, in case none of you understand how the 2008 thing overall happened, is Jonathan bought a house from me. I'm a real estate guy. I'm writing up his loan. I know Jonathan can't really afford the home he wants to buy. However, I can do something called teaser rates, right? And I can say, hey, if you buy it, I'll get you this rate. You come in here, and then you can just refinance it because the house is always going to raise in value. You refinance it, you get another teaser rate. And you can just keep doing that, and the house market keeps going up. Who doesn't pay their mortgage? That's the attitude back then.
Right.
Bullshit. What ends up happening is you end up getting not Jonathan's buying, or me, or even you, Ben. You end up getting people who sure shit shouldn't be buying. People who may even have issues getting a rental apartment approved.
Yep.
Right.
Those were the people that started buying. And that's what fucked that all up. That's what Michael figured out in real life.
Right.
When he started looking at it, he's like, this is gonna pop, because if these guys can't refinance or sell their homes before the teaser rate expires,
it's over.
They're fucked.
Yeah.
So those were like the variable rate loans, right? Like, and the ones that had like the jumbo payoff for 5 years, it's steady, and then after that rate goes up based on market rates or based on the prevailing rate.
Double. At that point, like, imagine if your mortgage is $800 and you're like, oh my God, I have the greatest mortgage ever. I don't have to pay $100 in rent
for 5 years.
5 years. And you're thinking at year 4, you can either sell the house, take the profit and buy another house, or you refinance it because value went up, right? Or worse,
a real bank won't refinance it.
What really sucked is people would refinance their homes, take the excess profit, which means, I don't think a lot of people understand this. When let's say Ben owns a home.
Yes.
Let's say Ben finishes paying off his home tomorrow. Like that. He is now sole owner. He just pays property taxes and repairs. Ben really wants that duplex that he's been trying to sell Jonathan on.
Takes
Ben refinances his home. What that really means is Ben's in debt again.
Yes.
For the house. He has his money, buys the duplex. Ben now has 2 homes. You know what no one talks about in any of these things that I've seen on YouTube, online, Twitter, Reddit, taxes. Taxes on your homes.
Yes.
Capital gains taxes on your stocks and what you earn and your earnings from the stock market. The guy that invested those initial 50 million and kept buying slowly but surely and made a killing right now on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
$22 million.
Yeah.
Take a shot in the dark. How much Uncle Sam's going to come for that fucking money at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Unless that guy knows exactly how to play the tax game, which I'm hopeful that he does.
Which I'm assuming he does if he has that kind of money.
Let's just assume he does. But if he doesn't, let's say it's one of us. Let's just call it what it is. Let's say Ben buys 10 shares of AMC tonight or tomorrow morning. That's the limit. That's the limit they let Ben buy because, you know, he's poor.
Right.
And all of a sudden, more volume is introduced to AMC. AMC shoots up to $500. Congratulations, Ben. You now have $5,000.
Yeah.
Sell it. Get out.
Yo, 20%.
And now 20% goes to the government. Just please remember that. Only they're not going to take it. You got to give it to them.
Yeah.
So my big fear is the middle winners of all this are not going to understand that part. Yeah. This is not free money.
And it's going to cost them more, right? Because these are like short-term capital gains, not long-term where you felt for at least a year. So they're going to pay a lot
high
more.
Interest.
30%, 35, 37, whatever, depending on how much what the gain was.
So yeah. It's some of these things that people don't understand. And right now, no one really cares. The people that are trying to do this to
because now it's all hysteria.
It's all based on emotion, hysteria, and hype. Yeah. Eventually, this will burst. This will tumble. Everything will settle. Will GameStop go out of business? Probably not. And I have a theory on that.
Well, I have a theory on that. My theory is that GameStop won't go out of business because these console makers, Xbox or Microsoft and Sony, right? Mm-hmm. They're pushing people to buy the digital one because they made that digital only console cheaper, but they still gave you the option to buy the one that has the optical drive.
Correct.
And so that means that GameStop's business, most of their business is in trading games, used games, etc. Right? Trading in games. Yep. And I think I had to go look it up to get the exact numbers. 65% of their business is trading games. So, and plus these new platforms, since they just came out, they're going to be around for what, 7-8 years with the optical drive until the next version of Xbox and PlayStation comes out.
That's the only place to buy games. That's the only place to buy games.
At that time, at that time, they might go all digital. Who knows? But if they don't, there's still 7 or 8 years. And not everyone can afford a new gaming system. People are still on the Xbox and on the PS4, and they're going to be for a while. They're still going to go and trade in games.
Yep.
They're still going to buy used games because $70 for a game is a lot of fucking money for anybody. Whether you can afford $70 for a game, and a lot of people can't afford it. People have a hard time paying their light bill. They can't go out to eat because they have to eat fucking like hot dogs and crazy. Most Americans have a tough time getting by. We're fortunate, at least here. We're fortunate. I think Ben, you and John are probably the same way. We're pretty fortunate that we're well employed and have relative security, and we don't have to go through that. I went through a version of that when I was younger. Yep. And a lot of people still go through that now.
I think all of us have had the same childhood.
Paycheck to paycheck.
All of us had the same childhood.
Paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I mean, this dude over here.
The hair. It's the hair.
He's better than us.
It's the hair, dude. It's the hair. Look, he could go like this and shit.
This dude over here. So who are you referring to there?
It's funny how you knew who I was talking about, Ben. That's good. We knew that it was you, Jonathan.
Of course I did.
Mythical unicorn hair. Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's amazing.
No, you know the other. You mentioned real estate, and like I use VA to purchase my house, so I never pay I never put a down payment, and I don't have to worry about paying mortgage premium insurance.
Never.
Even if I don't put a down payment.
Nothing.
That's the VA. That's one of the things about the VA.
Yep.
But once you hit 6 months, you're seasoned, quote unquote. So then you can refinance. Well, I refinanced my house a year ago. I'm
at
getting
3, right?
or in March. Yeah, I refinanced it in March, right before the shutdown, right before rates went down to like 2%, 2.25.
Which I got.
So now I'm getting all the calls because it's been more than 6 months.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking to move to Florida to find employment over there. So I'm not going to refinance. But guess what? I'm getting all these calls and all these emails and all these letters. And the thing that people do, and they get sucked into it, so we'll use the VA, but this applies to any loan if you're refinancing. The VA has something called the VAI I don't know how many R's there are. The interest rate reduction loan or some shit.
Yeah. It's fucking
Too many
annoying.
R's. It's like 3 or 4 R's and an L.
It's stupid.
All right?
It's stupid.
But any loan that you have, what happens now is what you have a mortgage, and hey, interest rates just dropped a percentage point in the last 12 months. Let's refinance your house because you've had it for more than 6 months. So a lot of people are doing is they're refinancing, and they're like, oh, low interest rates. Okay, let me do a cash out refinance because my home is now worth $30,000 or $40,000 more.
Mm-hmm.
And I take this 30 or 40,000. Oh, my house is worth 250, or it was worth 250 when I bought it, but now it's worth 300. Okay. Well, I've paid down X and X and X. So now I only owe 235.
Nope.
So let me take out $75,000 or $65,000 in cash as a cash out refinance. So guess what? Now you have a $300,000 mortgage on your house.
Yes.
And what most people do is, because you take that, whatever you owe on your current mortgage plus the cash out, that's what you owe on your new mortgage.
Yes.
So what most people end up doing is they go on vacations or they buy the fucking toys.
Yep.
You know, oh, let me get these ATVs, these new cars, this bullshit, whatever. Instead of like, oh, I'm going to take this 65 grand and buy property or invest it in something else. So now they have a $300,000 mortgage on their house, and it's fine, all well and good if their house is worth 300, and it probably is. And the way that prices are going now, home prices are going up. They've been going up pretty like steadily, and they're going to continue to do so, I think. But they just blew that 60 grand. People are like, oh, free money, 2%. Yeah, up my mortgage payment. This is how they think. They're like, oh, well, I bought the house for 250. I owe 235 now. Let me take 65 grand because it's worth 300. My mortgage payment is actually not going up because the interest rate dropped so much.
Yep.
But then they blow the money on bullshit.
Yep.
And so I was thinking about refinancing recently again, not to do a cash out, just to like drop, like I was like, oh, I refinanced 6 months ago. What's another adding 6 more months to my mortgage? Like it's not, usually people break even like at the 5 to 6 year mark when you refinance. And so I was thinking of staying here long term, but now I'm not. So I'm not refinancing now. So I'm dealing with all these guys that are like calling me and like, hey, we had a conversation. And so I got to keep telling them like, no, dude, I changed my mind. Like I'm buying a new house now. So I'm not refinancing.
I'm laughing internally because when I was explaining Ben's situation, I didn't even use the word cash out refinance because normally when people refinance, it is to do cash outs.
Yep.
Only seasoned people who know finance do what you're talking about, Jonathan.
Listen,
where you're like, I need to break even, I need to refinance. I don't need no fucking extra cash.
Yeah, fuck that, dude.
Fuck
I don't need the cash. I don't need the money. I want to pay $250 less a month. Yes. And since my mortgage is only a year old, I'm only adding a year to my fucking mortgage.
So I'll tell you, Parrilla, I'll tell you like this. Before I refinanced my house, I had long discussions with John about like what it all means, because I know he's more well versed with this shit. He's like, dude, like don't take any money out. Like all I got was the taxes or whatever. What's the shit that like that's in the savings? There's only like a couple
property
grand.
Taxes, like the escrow account.
The escrow account. Maybe. That's all I got back. You know what I mean? I didn't like do a cash out refinance. It was only a couple grand. Gonna paint the house, do stuff to the house. My house is worth way more than I owe. But I did it just to get a lower monthly interest rate. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's it. That's something no one understands. That in itself is the equivalent, and not really directly one-to-one, but in the mindset of like a dividend from a stock. You've refinanced, you're getting small incremental, higher, you're paying, your mortgage drops, you pay less mortgage. Right. That difference is for you. That's your dividend.
Yes.
Right.
From being
you're getting paid back $200 or whatever it dropped by.
Yes.
Exactly. That is the legitimate smart move. You don't owe more money, you owe less. You refinance, you pay less every month, and you're getting paid for that.
Right.
It's not $65,000.
Right.
But $200 a month times 12 months
is a good amount of money.
Essentially, getting $400 just for being smart.
Yeah, look, you know how they have the 15-year mortgage refinance or whatever?
Yeah.
I just don't see, like, you can just make the payments to your bank. If you want to make an extra payment every 2 weeks, you can choose to do that.
Yes.
I didn't do the 15-year to drop the percentage point by like a quarter because, and again, we're fortunate that we're in a position where if we wanted to, we could have done that. But why put myself in a, like, I think over leveraged position? Like that's the whole point of why this country runs on credit. Like, why am I gonna say instead of 30 years, I'm gonna do a 15-year mortgage, and now I gotta pay $2,900 or $3,000 a month. But hey, I'll pay it off in 15 years. Well, what happens if I lose my job? And now I gotta pay $3,000 instead of what I'm paying now.
No.
It's like, no, if I can afford to pay more every month on this 30-year mortgage, then I'll do it. I'll do it every month, and then
you
maybe
can pay
some
towards
months,
the principal.
If something happens, if I lose a job, then I don't have to worry about paying $3,000 on a 15-year mortgage.
Yeah.
I know that I have savings and I can afford this mortgage payment I have now. But banks push that shit a lot, and I think that's the one thing that they push. Like, you can pay off your house in 15 years. I'm like, well,
not really.
I mean,
that's a lot of risk.
Not everyone has that luxury.
That's a lot of risk.
You can also just choose to call your bank and just make that extra payment every month. You can just do that and not force yourself to have to make a double mortgage payment essentially if you do the 15-year mortgage.
I think for a lot of people, for a lot of people that are
disciplined enough to do that.
Yeah, for a lot of people that like are first time home buyers, this is something that I had to learn. Like, a lot of people make the mistake in thinking that initial 12-month mortgage payment is what it's always going to be. It incrementally goes up. Like, my mortgage payment from the beginning,
property taxes go up.
Yeah, property taxes go up, and escrow accounts go up, and all those things need to be paid, because bank isn't just going to be like, oh, cool, no, we'll cover your property taxes. No, that's not how. Homeowners insurance, all these things go up. So all those things go up. So my mortgage at the beginning, when I first bought my house before I refinanced, it was like, say, $1,100, right? Just give you a random number. By the time I had to refinance it, it was almost $1,800, right? Like, you also have to plan for that. So that 15-year mortgage, like you were saying, isn't going to always be $3,000. It could go 3,500, 3,600, 3,800, 3,900, $4,000.
I actually did I did a 15-year mortgage, refinance on my house, or the house we owned in South Carolina.
Right.
But that house was the one that we wanted to get back to after I got out of the Army and Mel retired, and she was close to her retirement. At the time I had like 9 years left. This was before I got out. And we're like, well, we've had the house for 4 years. We can refinance, which was crazy that we were allowed to refinance using the VAIR 15 R's and an L. Because it was an investment property at the time. We weren't living in it. We were renting it out. Mm-hmm. But the property, the interest rates dropped a lot. And I was like, you know what? If we refinance now and do a 15-year refinance, our mortgage payment is actually going to go up, but it's only going to go up by $20. That's how much the interest rate dropped. I went from a 30 to a 15-year mortgage, and my mortgage payment only went up by like $20 or $30. So I was like, fuck it, we'll do that. We have tenants in there. They're going to keep paying my mortgage down. And then when we decide to move back, we'll have 5 years left on that mortgage, 6 years left. And so at that point, it made sense, because when I bought the house in 2008, 2009 for 4.5%, that was a hell of an interest rate at the time, or 4.75. That was a really low interest rate. But then when I refinanced it at like 3%, because of,
you don't know how big of a difference that 1% made.
It was 1.75%. That was huge. So my monthly payment went up, but by $30, because it dropped by so much that it wasn't really hitting me. So I was like, and these tenants will keep paying off my mortgage. Like, I could have done a 30-year, and I could have seen more money coming in, because it would have dropped my mortgage payment by a ton. But I was like, nah, we're still making a profit on this rental. And now my tenants are going to just pay off my mortgage. And by the time I retire, essentially I have 5 years left. I might just pay off the rest of it in cash. So at that time, the 15-year made sense to me. But other than that, like, interest rates are so low. Why to go from a 2.25 to a 2.15% to go from 30 years to 15 years? You're putting yourself in a bind.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Like, I think what this showed a lot of people, like the stuff with Robinhood and stuff like that, like what Jonathan was saying, like at the beginning, right, is like, it pissed me off. Where you're saying like, oh, like, so y'all can play the game, but we can't. You know, like it gave, I think, and Jonathan said something earlier in the group chat. I was like, it gave these trolls something like, it gave them like a carcass. You know what I'm saying? Like, it gave them something to eat.
A target.
And and now they're not. I'm telling, like, we're gonna be sensible, right? Because we don't have to do things like that. But you make these people mad, they gonna rush the Capitol, but not like the capital. I mean, like, they gonna have to your capital gains. Like, you give them. There's a lot of angry people, and you're gonna keep telling them, "I know we're gonna play by these rules, but you got to play by other rules." There's people mad as fuck right now in these streets. You know what I'm saying? Like, and these retirees have more money to play with. You know what I mean? They're able to look at it like, oh no, look, let's a broker do this shit. Like figure this out. Let's make some money. Let's rip this shit really down. It's gonna get crazy, bro. It's gonna get fucking crazy.
Like, just think of it this way: if they would have just if they would have just let this shit play out, yes,
let it burn out.
A lot of people who coming into this would have lost.
Yeah,
I'm 100% certain of that. There would have been a lot of people who would have not sold at 420. If it would have made it to 500, they would have kept. Someone like me would have genuinely said, "This is financial advice. Get the fuck out."
Yeah,
get the fuck out now. Yeah. That stock is not worth $500.
Right.
Not on its best motherfucking day. However, just like Tesla, okay, if you want to know what the hypocrisy of this,
$898.
Tesla is in the exact same spot. It has zero competition right now.
Are there at 800?
$898.
$898.
You know who's going to be its competitor? General Motors is going to ending up being their competitors. Trust me on that. Research it, Jonathan. You'll see. Research GM, their liquidity, where they are right now.
Have you seen the Hummer? Well, look, and I you're probably right. I mean, I've been reading different companies. Like I think, was it Volvo or Ford or both, that they said that by 2026 they want like 85% of their fleet to be all electric vehicles. So it's going to take some time, but yeah, I mean, 2026 is right around the corner.
It's really cool. Tesla right now, it's like enjoy this. Enjoy the high price stock because it's not real. It really genuinely is not real.
Is any of it real though? Is any of it real? Like, is any of it real?
No, none of it is real. Like if you ever start researching how money is printed and made, how it's all done, you understand that when people say money isn't grown on trees, bullshit. It's printed
literally off trees. Trees make it. Like trees make money. Like how the fuck you think we make paper?
But then the worst part is we learned how to make money digitally, where you don't even have to print it.
Right, and but that intrinsic value is just based off what someone says something is worth.
Of the value of
it's just like the Yeezys. Those are some ugly ass motherfucking shoes. They look like a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex had some fucking like some crazy foot disease, but people are gonna pay $450 for those motherfuckers because someone says it's cool
on a Rex.
Yeah. Because someone says that shit is worth what it's worth, and people are gonna pay for it.
I'll tell you like this.
That's what it is. Like, how does something have an intrinsic value? Because people
somebody
place that value on it, and then everyone else says, we agree.
So what ended up happening if you want to see like the reality of like speculation, start researching a lot of water and energy stocks. The initial IPO is always high because they're like water essential,
right?
All of a sudden, but it never goes back to that initial IPO.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that if you start researching different industries, you start learning what industry is okay to genuinely invest in and what other industries you would use for like day trading if you wanted to go that route. Where you're like, okay, this company's probably going to get this contract. That's going to psychologically make people think their value is going to go up. They're going to buy the stock. But we're not talking about 10 shares here, okay, Mr. 10 shares or 15 shares, 16 for GameStop.
Millions and millions.
Add
a
couple of zeros to that. Yeah. We're talking like 1.6 million shares of that water company at that, or that energy company at that small rate, right? Which ends up being a lot of money, millions of dollars. And then all of a sudden, it goes up a couple of percent, like 0.5%, almost 1%. I sell and I've made a shit ton of money back.
Yep.
That's kind of the spirit of that. Not very many people have the discipline, the time, the right timing.
Or
timing the market is hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't try to do
it. If you listen,
the of timing the market is like running an Ironman, a Spartan race, and a triathlon on the same day.
Yeah.
And knowing how much water you actually need to drink and exactly how many calories you need to not have cramps, not get the itis, and just keep your engine running.
How many Gatorade gels and bananas you need to take?
Only all that bullshit. Really fine-tuned athletes could answer those questions for you.
David Goggins can tell you.
Yeah. Don't be a fucking pussy. That's what he'll say.
Usain Bolt could probably tell you how many calories he burns in a day. Yeah. Michael Phelps would be one of those people too back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember when Michael Phelps said, I can eat whatever I want. I got McDonald's. It's like, no shit.
Yeah,
Like,
fuck you, bro. Yeah, no shit, you can.
Like, to you, McDonald's is fucking penny stock, motherfucker. Like as far as calories.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
Se le meten una muela, bro. He's like the quarter pounder with cheese goes here. Coke, Coke, bro. Give me alcohol. I'm gonna go practice now. I'm gonna go swim for 4 hours. And when all of a sudden he gets out of the pool, he's lighter than when he went in. Yeah. So it's like the McDonald's.
And he's got 8 gold medals around his neck.
Yeah, like the
16
burned in his system before it ever became. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, in one Olympics.
One Olympics, 8. Yeah.
So
fucking ridiculous.
Like the other part of all of this speculation that no one's talking about normally is after hours trading, because
that's where they shut it down.
People who run this game realize there's other trading markets out there around the world. We are not the only one. The New York Stock Exchange we have here is not the only game in town.
Right.
Okay. Germany has one. London has one. China has one. Don't fuck with this. Like it's real. Like people genuinely pay attention to this shit. It's a real legitimate profession. People go to school for this crap.
Yeah.
But I find it hilarious that someone said it. These guys always did the right thing. These are the guys that are pissed right now are the people that went to the right schools, got the right grades, met the right people, did the right internships.
Everything went perfect.
Everything went perfect. They got good. They had to hustle, I'm sure. You get me? I'm sure it wasn't 100% easy. But compared to like the person working at McDonald's 40 hours a week, trying to feed their kids.
Yep.
You get me? They can't afford a lot of shit in life. And then all of a sudden got told, I'm sorry, we have to furlough you because of COVID. And they're hoping the government's like, oh shit, how am I gonna pay my rent? I don't have savings.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the government's like, yeah, fuck you. All of a sudden they have money and they're like, oh my God, I have an opportunity. And now you're gonna fuck them out of that.
Yeah.
But then what's happening is the only reason that they're gonna get the hedge funds got fucked is because one of those kind of people genuinely no fucks given just outsmarted them.
Yeah.
That was it. End of story. These guys who had all these advantages got outsmarted by people eating Taco Bell.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like
that hot sauce be
think
getting
of that for a minute, Jonathan. Imagine you got guys eating special diets who are eating good food, who dress nice, right? Nice educations. They have lived their lives with that ego of I've worked hard, I've accomplished, I know what I'm doing, I've earned this.
Yeah, it's like the myth said, right? You go to specific schools, they're called like target schools. So you go to a specific school, an Ivy
like
League
Wharton.
school, whatever. You study finance, and you're a person that's looking to get into like investment banking, or you want to get into mergers and acquisitions, or anything around finance, right? And so you go to the right school so you can get looked at. You go into the right major. You've done everything in your life so that like you're the top of the 1% to just even go to these schools, and now you're making $200,000-$400,000 right out of college, and then more once you actually get into the business and you make partner, et cetera, and they get outdone by some guy. And I'm sure this person had to have some intelligence.
Yes, it wasn't just some random dude.
Which by the way, intelligence and formal education are not the same thing, right? No. A lot of people, anyone can go to school and get a degree and not be smart. You just went to school and got a degree. Yep. So this guy, whether he has a degree or not, he outsmarted them. But these are all the guys that went to the right school, got seen by the right people, like John said, were in the right internship, and they're handling billions of dollars, and they got outsmarted by some guy who probably isn't doing that. I'd like to find out who it actually is.
What's crazy is his what's his name? Deep fucking values.
Deep fucking values. I love that name.
So the thing is that he explained the situation to the rest of that subreddit. This is how I know he had to be smart.
Right. You took that subject that's not very easy to understand.
Correct. So Ben, the way that I was describing that thing on the phone earlier in the chat.
Right.
Imagine someone describing it like that on a Reddit.
That has millions of people on it. And they're like, oh, the light bulb goes off.
With pictures, with what he did, genuinely hand-holding these people.
Yeah.
Imagine how bad you would feel. Imagine if we three were part of the hedge fund and we did all this shit and we knew one of the guys that were in that group.
Yep.
He was that one friend of ours who were just like, damn, dude, this dude's never going to get his life together.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this dude joins that subreddit and he's like calling us going, hey, bro, could you believe that you guys are shorting this shit? And This guy's telling us to go buy it, and bro, I just fucking invested like my $5,000 life savings into this shit, and you're listening to this going, yeah, that's fucking. Wait a minute, you did what?
Yeah, but what's crazy?
Which stock again? Oh, GME. Oh fuck! Like those are the guys that don't need to check their phones to know what their portfolio looks like as far as when they're really deep into something, when you're shorting a massive amount.
What's crazy is that what that guy did is what you pay a money manager or a hedge fund manager to do for you, and he did it for free to all these other Redditors on that subreddit.
He literally went in there and just said, "Let me give you a free lesson in money markets and when you should invest and how."
Right.
He just gave it to them, and I was like, "This is fucking genius," because he literally just empowered a bunch of people,
educated, to
know how to play the game. That's it.
But you hear the media, right?
Bachelor's, master's,
manipulation of the market.
Yes.
Of how Wall Street works, because that's exactly what Wall Street does. They're like, oh, we're betting long, we're betting short, we're shorting, we're calling, we're buying a put. It's the same shit, only they're doing it at a bigger, larger scale. This dude who has done it at a medium-sized scale and then it grew into a large scale
because of the
over
volume.
a year and change, which is smart. Because what he did was he had that money. He had the 50,000 initially. He waited to see how that performed, and when he saw that it was still in his favor to keep pumping, he kept doing it.
But was it? And if you saw what it looked like was, I looked at some of his later ones. He was like straddling. He was doing an option straddle where he would buy one at a certain strike price and then another one at a certain lower strike price. So he was covering himself both ways. So it was kind of price neutral.
He knew what to do.
So he had the knowledge of how to do this. It wasn't, but he caught these guys with their hand in a cookie jar where they were like, oh, they're shorting 136% of the stock. Hold on a second.
That's stupid. Like all that guy did was literally just look at that and go, I call bullshit. Yeah. I'm going to call you out on this. But I can't do it alone. Because I like in the movie Wall Street, if you don't have the liquidity or the capital reserves, you can't piss with the big dogs and the tall weeds. So that guy literally just said, I can't do this alone. I don't have the capital for this. But if I enable the subreddit that I'm a member of, I mean, shit. I mean, I don't really need these guys to fucking invest in this the way I did.
Yeah.
I just need enough of them to invest.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That's why I said volume money. Mm-hmm. It's like 3 million people each buy one stock. That's 3 million fucking stocks, dude. The hedge fund moves that much. That literally is what's happening.
Yeah.
That's a shit ton of people. And so imagine, and we all know they didn't want. Yeah. They bought at least like 5 to 10 to 15.
Yeah, and they bought at $16 or $8 or $12 or whatever it was, and you get 3 million people to buy 5, 10, 15, 20 each. That's quite a few. That's how many millions of shares? Quite a few. 50 million?
Like 9 million, 10 million shares. So imagine the amount of volume you influx into the market. Like the hedge funds guys were just furious. They're like, what the fuck? This goes against everything in the industry. Fuck off.
Fuck your industry. Fuck your industry.
Like I genuinely have said it before to people earlier today. It's like all they had to do was acknowledge that they got caught. Right. Even if it's at a loss, even if they're like, so we have to hold this on our fucking books until we have to give it back. Yeah. Fucked up.
Eat that shit.
If you start playing the game, if you start playing the game with these guys of, well, let me buy it back and then I'll short it again, which is exactly what they fucking did.
Yep.
These guys, someone literally, one person explained what was going on, and from there it was a wildfire because now you educated them enough for them to understand now what was happening
and what to look for.
Was like a hack. This essentially became a hack. Oh, I don't want to lose, so I got to buy more. Well, I'm buying more because I want you to lose. Well, I can't keep losing, so I got to buy more. And then before you know it, it just keeps climbing until some parent figure comes in and goes, no, and I'm picking a side. And in this case,
hedge fund.
A lot of layman tools and companies that allow us to trade all said, no, all of you are the losers here because you're the uneducated,
you're the
regular people who
the peasants
know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys studied this. They know. It's like, no, they don't, because if they fucking did, they wouldn't have had their hand caught in the cookie jar with that kind of exposure.
Mm-hmm. You don't expose yourself with more stocks than what you have.
Huh?
You don't expose yourself with more stocks than what you have. That's it. That's all they need. Just if they stayed at 100%, does it stay at 100%?
Like I literally explained this to Ben, And I was like, when you're starting out, this is why I loved Robinhood. I was like, oh, you don't have to invest $5,000 into your fucking account.
They do what are they? Fractal, right?
Fractal shares.
Fractal shares, right? So if a share costs $400, you don't have $400 to buy. You can buy a fraction of it or whatever it is.
Is Robinhood?
It literally allows.
Which is how I bought Bitcoin.
Is Robinhood dead?
Bitcoin the whole.
Is Robinhood dead now?
No.
I think from a PR perspective, they're going to suffer.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of, I would say, wealthy people, not rich to wealthy, not like excessively rich or wealthy. We're talking like, let's say you make anywhere from 90,000 to like 300 grand a year. Those are the people that are going to just tell Robinhood to fuck off.
Right.
E-Trade right now must be fucking smiling ear to ear. Why do I say that? Guess who's going to E-Trade soon?
I'm there.
John, you're gonna have to next podcast. You're gonna have to tell me about E-Trade and how that works, because I might be out on Robinhood because they told us to shut the fuck up.
Like Robinhood fucked up. They essentially fucked up, and then Webull. Let me pronounce it correctly, so John doesn't give me shit.
Webull,
Webull, right? Shitter. They followed suit because Robinhood is like the biggest one, the most popular one. So if it decides, fuck you, we're closing you out, you can't buy.
They said the trend.
Other smaller platforms they have no leverage.
Yeah.
Correct. And then what no one knows is these companies are owned by other companies. So you had one hedge fund that was literally about to be taken out of business, get bailed out by another hedge fund that had a subsidiary company that owns Robinhood. You can look this up.
Yeah. It's fucking
what
crazy.
A coincidence that all of a sudden the people that are at stake of losing millions of dollars who own through subsidiaries, which no one likes to talk about, shell companies, subsidiaries, and all this other shit.
That's a whole different podcast.
Which is essentially just wrappers.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that those are essentially just financial wrappers for you to own something. All of a sudden, they just decide randomly, you know what, fuck you. They didn't do it on Monday when it escalated. They didn't do it Tuesday when it kept escalating. And they didn't do it Wednesday when it really started going overboard. They waited until the losses were going to genuinely bankrupt.
Somebody waited to make money.
Hedge fund.
But somebody made a shit ton of money off of it.
They genuinely went, you know what? Yeah, this is too much. Because this is gaining traction. And, this is bullshit. So
this is bad PR. Down, bad PR.
Killed the prices, but it got out. And it got out to the point where you had podcasters, YouTubers. Look at us in this podcast. That celebrities. It was the first time I ever literally retweeted Ted Cruz, Ben Shapiro, Abby Shapiro,
AOC,
Shoe on Head, all these AOC, all of them, fucking Dave Rubin, even.
Jesus Christ, not the battle of ideas, Dave Rubin, not that Dave Rubin. This is a freedom of ideas, Dave Rubin.
I'm just saying,
not Dave Rubin.
Yes. Mr. Locals, join me on locals.com to get away from Twitter. But I'm not leaving Twitter, even though I don't want to be on Twitter. I'm just on Twitter all the goddamn time.
Used to be on TYT, Dave Rubin. Super progressive, Dave Rubin. Oh wow, that's fuck that guy.
I guess the other side decides to pay more money.
I'm so glad that Florida has everything open. It's like, okay, it sounds like, this is my first time on a private jet. And I remember I quoted him on when he said that he enjoyed his first private jet experience. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, I too also long to be in private jets by selling out my values and right. Like,
I told Jonathan a long time ago. I told Jonathan a long time ago, I will become a fucking Candace Owens, Dave Rubin grifter if the money's right. Hey, listen, these Latinos, these Latinos are here.
These motherfuckers are taking our jobs.
They're taking our jobs. You see them. What they think because they work hard and come here trying to provide for their family? No, fuck that. They're all criminals selling drugs. They might be real.
They're out here at Tyson Chicken with illegal ID cards and fake Social Security numbers,
taking hardworking Americans'
paying
jobs.
into Social Security, but not getting any of the benefits from Social Security.
Yeah.
Like,
they're taking our jobs.
It's an today was blatant.
Benjamin Owens, son.
Today was like blatant abuse. Today was blatant abuse.
Yeah.
Market manipulation, theoretically market manipulation on both sides, because these guys decided, hey, fuck this guy, we caught him with the cookie jar. They could have just contacted, regulation authorities, financial regulation authorities, and just said, hey, we're noticing this very weird fucking trend where this stock is way overexposed as far as shorts. And guess what? Nothing would have been done.
But you know what? Exactly. But they didn't really collude. Like, it's a fine line. But all he did was say, hey, look, this is what I noticed. This is what I did. Here's my information. Feel free to buy the stock if you want to.
Yeah, there's some wild shit. There's some wild shit on Reddit.
Financial advice.
There's some wild shit on Reddit that not everybody necessarily pays attention to. You know what I'm saying? It just so happened that this was a thing. Like, I could say a bunch of wild shit on my podcast. Like, oh, like if somebody does it, and then it blows up. Like, I'm not telling, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a collusion where I'm not telling, hey, John, look, me and you're gonna buy this short, and then I'm gonna set it high, and then we're gonna that's a whole different conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fucking, it's not collusion. Collusion is what the New York Stock Exchange and the hedge fund did. That's collusion. Hey, look, we're losing. You need to stop this shit.
Yes,
that's right. Don't let them trade anymore because they're gonna keep blowing this shit up.
Yeah.
Like, what a coincidence when it really started getting out of hand on Tuesday. Forbes, the Washington Journal, the Wall Street Journal,
Washington Post,
Washington Post, like CNBC, Fox Business,
areas of these, all of them started writing articles going
same shit.
CNN,
are you
everybody,
sure they were just literally started shitting on it. Then they were like, "Oh, this group over here is full of white nationalists and white
toxic
supremacists.
Trumpsters." Yeah.
You know, we gotta look at the way they talk on this fucking Reddit.
CNN had Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, saying how this is bad and it's possible market manipulation by the Redditors. That's who CNN had.
Yeah, that's who CNN is.
That would be the equivalent of having Gordon fucking Gecko from Wall Street.
Yeah.
On CNN talking about insider trading and how it's so wrong that the Redditors knew this was going to happen and they acted on it. It's like, didn't you go to jail for this shit? Shut up.
But he's part of their class. He's still part of their class. Jordan
Belfort is a doctorate. He holds a doctorate in scamming people.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the guy that took this idea of the penny stock bullshit, like what they did with NCAD, shorting it and keeping it under $1 and then just selling it to people and loading the dog shit to everyday people.
Yep.
Jordan Belfort was the guy that led that fucking effort.
Yeah, I know.
So
the fact that CNN had him on was
mad for any of this shit is like, fuck off. Like, really, he's the last person you need to have on as a financial expert on any of this shit.
Yeah, just because Leonardo DiCaprio played you in a movie doesn't make you cool, bro. Doesn't make you cool.
Correct. Like, you really wanted to fucking impress me on this shit? Get fucking Warren Buffett on CNN.
Yeah.
Saying, yeah, we need to bail out the hedge funds. We need to protect the deposits in these guys. You're gonna see mum's the word from him.
Yeah, I haven't heard shit.
And then if you wanted to impress me again, dude, get Dr. Michael Burberry on there on CNN saying, yeah, I think you really should stop buying GameStop. It's really wrong. It's whatever. He isn't gonna fucking say that because he has stake in that company.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's loving this. He's probably standing back going, I may have to fucking sell a few because it's like, you get me? He's positioning to do something with the company. And holy shit, like who knows how many shares he owns? Well, I mean, you could look that up, by the way. If people don't know, you could find out.
Yep.
Yep. This is public information.
All of it is.
Yeah.
I mean, these are publicly traded companies, so you can find out everything about them.
Yeah.
They have SEC filings. You can find out this information, and that's what makes it not collusion. It was publicly available information. Yeah. The fact that people don't know how to find it or don't know how to do the due diligence is one thing, but it's out there.
And it's also and Wall Street and the stock exchange and all these people are also playing off people's ignorance, right? Like you said, Jay, like all this shit is public information. I could Google it right now and find out everything I need to know about this company. That what they're betting on is the people not to know. Hey, motherfucker, this subreddit shows you that we know. This podcast shows you that we know. And we're not the only ones talking about it. Listen, fellas, we could talk about this shit all motherfucking night. Let's give you guys the final thoughts on the podcast. What you got to say, Parrilla? Got to give you the first last word because you're the guest and the supervising producer.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, man.
But as a supervising producer, I'd like to hear what Jonathan Vallejo,
it's honestly
the guy with the white privilege, panicking in his panic room right now.
By the way, how's your breathing, Jay? You look like you've been struggling through this, trying not to laugh and shit, like on some real shit. You doing all right?
I still have like a lingering cough or whatever, but my breathing is fine now. But yeah, when I was going through it, it was like I went up the steps and I was like taking off my mask once I got into my isolation chamber there. I was like, fuck, I'm having a hard time breathing in this bitch. I just went up a few steps.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is for real. I mean, I knew it was for real when, you see the numbers and you hear of people that have friends and family members that passed. But when this shit knocked me out like cold, like 18 hours I slept, 19 hours, I was just like, yeah, this ain't no fucking joke.
And you're one of the fortunate ones that woke up.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy because I slept all day, and then Mel's like, you're not gonna be able to sleep. And this was at 9 o'clock at night, and then I just slept till like 8 in the morning the next day. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm able to sleep. And I got in the car and got the fuck out of Dodge too, because we were in Florida at the time. And that's why I got this shit.
Yeah. Let's not go down that hole. That's a dark one.
Yeah, no, that rabbit hole,
Yeah. Next podcast.
No, man, I'm doing better. Actually, you know what I wanted to talk about or mention? I don't know. I've mentioned it, and I think you guys are. I think you're working for Klaus Schwab, the founder and chairman of the World Economic Forum. Because I've asked a couple of times.
The Great Reset. I have no idea.
The Great Reset.
You mentioned it, but I don't know much about it.
Have you heard the chatter of the Great Reset? Because there are crazy conspiracy theories both on the left and right. One for one reason, one for another reason. But
to me, it's all bullshit. It's just it's just a sign of what's happening right now. If COVID disappears tomorrow, little by little, they'll just put us back to where we were before. At first, it'll be like, oh, we'll do like a hybrid, unless companies have already committed already before. It literally is like the stock market. We're literally just sitting out. Some companies are making executive decisions on work lifestyle balances, and they're going through their Great Reset. Like this office, fuck it, I'm selling it because I'm just going to tell my employees work from home. I cut down my costs by not having to pay for office.
Right.
So that's really what's happening. And when people are like, oh, people are ordering, Uber Eats and Postmates more, so that's part of the Great Reset. It's like, no, man, this is just the way things work. Like there's no conspiracy theory here.
Look. One of the things I read on their website was that, and it was part of their marketing and advertising, that you'll own nothing and be happy. And that was their goal by like 2030, that essentially we wouldn't own anything. It would either be, so essentially it's just like, yes, the whole thing that's been going on about a new world order and a one world government. And so you're not going to own anything. You're going to either borrow it from the state or rent it from someone's going to own it, but it's going to be not us, the elites, right? The lizard people. I'm not going to say the lizard people because that's crazy, because that's another conspiracy. But Ben, the World Economic Forum, right? This guy Klaus Schwab. So I think it's been around for about 50 years. He was the founder. He's their chairman, and they're like one of these big, like just like the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, or like the WHO, all these entities, these NGOs, non-government organizations, and they get together every year, and it's usually elites. It is like either tech companies or pharmaceuticals or politicians, like the elite of the elite, right? Like what's the Bilderberg meetings, right?
Yeah.
So something like that. But the World Economic Forum has these meetings every year in Davos in Switzerland, and essentially it's like the super rich and the super people and all these people that hold power talking about how we're going to shape economic policies. How are we going to continue to run the world, right?
Right.
And so this year they just happened to name it the Great Reset. Every year is something, they name it something or other. This year they named it the Great Reset. Now, but they do talk about like, well, let's use the pandemic to reset our economy and the way that capitalism works, and we're going into a fourth industrial revolution. And then when you start talking about that, you hear the conspiracy theories both from left and right. The right, well, they're going to use the Great Reset. They're going to use it to
socialism,
get rid of oil, and this conspiracy, the global warming doesn't exist. And then on the left, it's other stuff so you hear the conspiracy theories from both sides. I think that COVID plays a big part in it, obviously, because we're commuting less, we're working from home. Like you saw the economy of the office building doesn't exist, people that own shops in these office buildings, the real estate and commercial real estate, it's not being used because more people are working from home. They're teleworking, like Jonathan said. Do I think it's this big conspiracy that, look, there are elites. There are people that make the rules, just like we talked about hedge fund managers. Like the little person suffers while the corporations get bailed out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So there are these people meet and they try to shape economic policy and it happens, and you don't see it happen. It happens over 5, 10, 15 years. But it does start to happen. Do I think it's a big conspiracy? No, but do I think that they're going to use the pandemic to sort of like try to strong arm some of their policies or use it as a something to accelerate some of these policies? Absolutely, because we're seeing
there's
already.
money to be made and opportunities. Yeah.
But that's a sensible approach. What you just said, Jonathan, is not so much a crazy conspiracy theory.
I was talking about from my point of view, but I talk to people that have like, they're going to take everything from us. And I'm not saying that that's out of the question. Maybe it could happen. I'm open to like hearing different ideas. But I'm not like all in on like, yeah, they're going to take everything from us. But it's just funny that I do see that marketing and the videos of like, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And I'm like, wait, what? Hold on a second.
Yeah.
And then they explain it, and then you think about Amazon and how Amazon provides everything, and now that they have the logistics to provide everything and bring everything to your door within 24 hours or 2 hours for Whole Foods, or 2 days shipping or whatever. And so like, I mean, if there's a fourth industrial revolution, whenever that does occur, if we're in the middle of it, it's big tech, right?
Yes.
That's the government is in bed with these big tech companies, because it's either Amazon or Microsoft that owns, Amazon Web Services, or Microsoft Azure that owns the server space for government, for a lot of the government, if not all of it. So like we have a bunch of politicians that don't know what the fuck Twitter or Facebook is, what the difference between those two are, or you have the media saying, oh, the stock market got hacked. And then you have politicians say it got hacked because they don't know any better.
And that made me laugh when that guy's like hacking it.
Yeah. And so I think that like tech companies have too much power. If you're talking about the big reset, like, yeah, they have way too much power. They have way too many protections. I think the internet is a utility because we rely on it for everything that we do.
Everything.
But they have all the protections in the world because the government's in bed with them. And it's not just our government. I think every government has their information in the cloud that belongs to one of these big tech companies. So they already have our information. They already own the government. They get to make the rules. So from that point of view, like I can see, and it's always been that way. Before big tech, it was the banks, but now the banks are like losing that head start they had and that grip to the tech companies, because tech companies have all this power. So I mean, I can see that makes sense to me.
They're the ones responsible for the revolution right now, because like imagine when the printing press was created.
Right.
That's it's almost like that kind of equivalent. It's like, oh,
right.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you're having a massive change. Or when the home computer became common. When in the 70s and 80s, if you ask someone, oh, computers, they're like, what? You mean the Atari? It's like, no. I mean like a personal computer. Why would I need that?
Yeah.
People asked themselves that back in the 80s. Ask that to someone now. What would you do with a personal computer?
It's your phone.
People would look at you like,
it's my pocket.
Make a phone call. I walk around with a calculator all day. Like,
I got a supercomputer in my pocket.
Yeah, like
it's not. I don't think it's the industrial revolution. I think it's more like the technological revolution on steroids, right? Like it's what it is. Like you guys, the jobs that you guys have shows you that offices and businesses are obsolete. You know what I mean? Like you don't need, like you could do that same work from home. So why would those companies pay for a room in some building? Right? Like,
but, the other part of it is it's not just that. It's the, like, China has their social credit score.
Careful there. Careful there, sir. There's something we're communists.
You've heard about
Yes,
the
of
China,
course.
like your social credit, right?
Yeah, of course.
I'll let the guy with white privilege talk about that. Go ahead.
Oh, I have white privilege, so I can talk about it. Hey,
Started
by the way, I'm the one that knows how to pronounce his last name correctly. Let's not forget that.
Parrilla.
Mr. White privilege. All
so
right.
disrespectful, bro.
All right,
we don't talk about that
I'm the
enough.
one that knows how to pronounce his last name.
Parrilla, bro. Parrilla.
I translated to English.
No. Fuck that. Parrilla, though. Parrilla. We don't talk about.
Yeah, bro.
All right. Parrilla como mierda.
So that's like one of the conspiracies is that the Great Reset, and like Google has their smart city pilot in Toronto or Ottawa, I think, and now they're moving to Toronto, and where they want to have cameras everywhere. And that, like, again, that's one of the conspiracies that governments will become digitized. Like you won't really need a government because you have cameras everywhere, and
we have cell phones.
Who's going to control the cameras? Google. These big tech companies, you'll have like London has CCTV everywhere. That's been in place for years.
Yeah.
And so the thought is that that's going to happen everywhere, not just in London, but in every city. Every city is going to be a smart city. You won't really need. You'll have just one centralized government controlling everything because they will have all your information, which, by the way, they already have all our information.
Yeah,
if you have an Android, they know everything you do, everywhere you go. That's why you get personalized ads on your Facebook feed or any feed because they already own the information.
If you ever turned on Alexa or Siri, that's it.
Right. Yeah. So they already own it, but now the concern, the conspiracy theory is that, okay, now they're going to have the cameras. You won't have any privacy. Which was funny because I ended up watching a movie, terrible movie, but when I commit to a movie, and that means like 2 minutes into the movie, I'm committed. I'm like, fuck it, I'm finishing this fucking movie because I'm 2 minutes in. I'm too deep into this motherfucker.
So ridiculous.
I was watching The Circle with Emma Watson.
Oh my God. Why?
I was like, oh, this is terrible, but this is everything that these people from the Great Reset conspiracies are talking about, how they're putting cameras everywhere. They know everything we do. There's no privacy. They integrate your account. Let's say they'll call the Circle account with your Facebook account, with everything, with your social security number, that's how you vote. That's how you do everything. And so that's where these conspiracies for the Great Reset that's how I likened it to that movie. It was just funny that
it actually matches the crazy shit I've heard too.
It's crazy. Do I think it'll happen? I mean, they already have our information. So
they already have everything.
It's not a crazy leap to take because they already know everything we do.
Yeah.
Someone at Google knows exactly where I'm at. They know my coordinates because my location services are turned on.
I think that movies are potential realities with the volume turned way up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Could that absolutely happen? Yeah. Will it happen the way the movie does? Of course not. It'll be much more voluntary by society.
Yep.
But society volunteers for this dumb shit. Take the Patriot Act, for example. Something happened, and then we just bought into the Patriot Act, and it took Edward Snowden, who is a hero, I think.
Yes.
But he exposed all the shit that our government was doing, which was spying on us. But
made him the criminal.
Yes.
They made him
the criminal. But people were just like, but people were just like, no, take all our rights, spy, listen to us, do all this bullshit in the name of security, of convenience. So there'll be something, and the pandemic is a possible that possible event that could cause people to like give up even more of their rights, even though we voluntarily do it, like I said, by using Google and all these other services that just already have all our information.
Which is what I expect. I expect them to have a marketing department that's like, okay, well, how do we get more information, more control, more data points?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, if we sell it this way, then technically we're not forcing them. They are signing up and voluntarily choosing this.
Hey, here's this new phone, and look at this one. This one has a camera, and you don't know what else goes into
like this, right? Facial recognition. If I want to unlock the phone, I have a choice of a code or facial scan.
Yeah.
And it really pushes for facial scan when you first turn on that iPhone.
Or your fingerprint, right? Because you can also just use your biometric, like fingerprint, how I just unlocked my phone. So they already have that information. It's in my phone, which means somewhere Google has it in the cloud, fingerprint in the server somewhere.
I also have a concealed weapon, so they have my fingerprint. So it is.
That's the other big thing is like we mentioned, like voting using, like let's say Facebook could be your ID and it allows you to vote. I don't think that's what's really going to happen. I'm still waiting for them to finally allow people to vote using biometric data from their fucking phone.
Yeah.
Because you could scan your face, scan your thumbprint. You could do triple, quadruple verification just to fucking open the ballot on the fucking phone. And then you can have another verification for every single vote you cast on that digital form. So they can genuinely, if they really want to, they could genuinely make every election 100% zero fraud. Because they'll literally say, you know, we need your fingerprint.
Yeah, there's no money in that though. Yeah, you got to have the media talking about divisiveness and shit like that. All right, bitches. Yeah, so we can talk about this forever, man. We can talk about this forever, but we got to cut it. I got to go to sleep. I have to go to bed, bro. Listen, I'm old. I am 37 years old.
I do not understand that. You're too damn old.
Google is listening right now, son. Google is listening right now. Google overlords, I apologize. The thoughts of this podcast were solely by Jonathan Parrilla and Jonathan Vallejo. Benjamin Borges had nothing to do with the contents of this podcast, even though my name is
say
first.
Any of our names correctly.
I know. Jesus, I said it the white way, dude. You know they don't do the double L's in the computer. All right, they don't go Parrilla. You know that, right? They go Parrilla. I just want to say
to the Google overlords, if you can hear this, Ben is Parler. He is hosting this revolution on his podcast. I just thought I should let you know.
The name is Benjamin Owens. The name is Benjamin Owens. I will grift the shit out of you. I will listen. You
Parler and Gab.
If they offer me the money, I will sell out so quick, bro. So
I know.
I'll slick my hair back. I'll get mad that Ben Shapiro doesn't believe in empanadas.
Put chemicals in his hair and slick that shit back.
Yeah, I'll slick this shit back. I'll bleach it. I'll frost tip this shit. I'll fucking Madison Cawthorn this whole situation. I'll change my name.
Sammy Sosa his fucking face.
No, I'm not bleaching my skin, son. That's a little bit too far. There's limits to what I'll get veneers though. Like I will go ridiculous with this shit. I'll wear a fucking American flag pin and just say God bless America every time I speak. What, son? Ooh. For hundreds. Bro,
I'd be like Kirk Douglas in Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. That's what I'd go that far.
Yeah,
I'd be like, I'm gonna dye my hair color, veneers,
suits, fucking orange tan this shit. I'm out.
I was gonna say I'm just gonna continue being me, but put a suit on.
That's literally you already got the whole outfit. That's true. You got
it's just me. I'll just shave and clean this shit up.
Yeah, you definitely gotta shave. You can't have a beard.
You're right, bro.
You can't have a beard because Ted Cruz. No, I'm saying John. You can't have a beard. Like if you're gonna sell out, you can't have a beard. Like you gotta shave your face. True. Like Ted Cruz, grew his beard out, and we let's stop that. All right, fellas, we'll do this shit again.
Don't fucking compare me to Ted Cruz.
I did compare you to Ted Cruz. Jonathan, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. We got to do this shit again. Let's try to do this once a month after the next Wall Street debacle because we know what's gonna happen. Vallejo, glad you're feeling better, my brother. Catch you guys next time, man. Peace.
Peace.